welcome back everybody to the Meeple Marathon. Today I'm going to do something a little different today. Basically, I'm going to give you guys an opinion piece, and that is my opinion on Descent Legends of the Dark. Now, I want to preface this entire video with the fact that I have not received my copy yet. I've not received a review copy. I don't have access to a beta app or anything like that. I have simply created this opinion based on my thoughts as a consumer for the game, which I have pre-ordered, I am purchasing, and I've been watching a lot of reviews, I've been watching a lot of other people's opinions, and so I thought I would just throw mine out there into the mix, partly because of what you guys are seeing on the screen right now. This is the BGG page for Descent Legends of the Dark, and this is where basically the breakdown of this 5.5 score, which is fine. Maybe it's going to end up being a 5.5, but if you look down here, or you can kind of look down here, and it's basically either 10s or 1s, 10s or 1s, 10s or 1s, and the exact breakdown you can see right here: 88 1s and 92 10s. Basically, as many people have just about gone on here and given it a 1 as they have a 10. This is also a lot of ratings for more than likely people who don't have the game yet. I'm guessing that most of these 1s and most of these 10s are all people like me who have thrown their opinion in there, but instead of creating a video and giving you their firm reasoning why they have these opinions, they're simply saying, oh, it's got an app, 1. Or, oh, it's $175, 1. Or, ooh, it's Fantasy Flight, 10. Ooh, it's Descent, I'm giving it a 10. So this is obviously going to change. This is obviously going to work itself out if this game truly is amazing, or even if it's above average. You know, more people are going to start purchasing and actually putting in their score than are not people who absolutely won't touch it. They're going to move on. They're not going to continue to spend their time dwelling over why they hate Descent. So this will eventually even itself out. Having somewhere 200 plus some odd ratings is not going to kill the curve necessarily. And hopefully, for most people like me, you're going to wait until you actually have the game before you give it a grade. So let's talk about what people are in such a fuss about, and why I personally am not scared at all about Descent Legends of the Dark. The biggest thing is the app. So many people don't want to have it involve an app. Some people are board game purists, and that's fine. You are allowed to be a board game purist. You do not have to purchase this game. For example, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and there are some Star Wars fans out there who will only watch Star Wars, the original trilogy, on their old beat-up VHS cassette with the granular footage and the wavy lines in the way. That's fine. They refuse to watch it on Blu-ray. They refuse to watch it since George Lucas updated it in the late 90s. That's fine. You go enjoy your Star Wars. I'm going to go enjoy my Star Wars. Some people still love playing original Descent. Some people still like playing with an Overlord in Descent 2nd Edition. I personally have always loved the fact that I can play solo and the Overlord is handled by the app. And this looks to be a game that is going to be beautiful for solo players, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. But let's get back to the app. Why I'm kind of excited about the app, for one, is this dynamic battle system. Simply put, the app is going to do the math for you. The app is going to allow you to have certain numbers of hits mean more things depending on what weapon you're wielding, and you don't have to do the math. You don't have to remember it. Or you can have a certain weapon that's going to knock down the opponent 20% of the time. Well, you don't have to do that math. You don't have to rely on rolling a d20 or a d10 or something like that, and if it's a 1 or a 2, then you knock them down. The app is simply just going to take care of that for you. Also, the app is going to remind you that there are things that the enemy is going to do in interaction, and you don't have to keep a reference sheet handy all the time. It's just going to be there in front of you on the app. Another two things really that the app is going to give you that has always really frustrated me is line of sight. Line of sight rules seem to change from every game out there. They're always different. The line of sight rules for Fantasy Flight's Imperial Assault, which is a game I adore and love, can be very fiddly. And most of the time, I don't even care what the correct rules are. I just look at it and think, is that guy hiding behind something or not? Can I see him or not? I'm just. But the app is going to give you a line of sight tool. I couldn't find a good screenshot of it, but if you watch, for example, Tom Vassel's Dice Tower review of the game, he shows how it works. And it basically takes all the guesswork out of line of sight. Same thing for the terrain. There are, I'm sure, going to be various different types of terrain similar to Madara or Gloomhaven, where there's, obstructing or difficult or things like that. But I still, to this day, after playing 3 years of Gloomhaven, still have to go back to the main rule book to reference, can I climb over this log? Can I see over this log? Can I fly over this log? Is this a pillar? Is it just something on the ground? Is it going to hurt me? All that stuff. The app just takes care of all that, which to me, those two things are just beautiful player aids at the end of the day that can only be done by having an app. There's one more thing. This kind of goes in line with the kind of dynamic battle system that I've already talked about, but that is this one point right here, and that is these passive weaknesses that are not revealed on the enemy until you have discovered them by hitting them with the specific damage type. This is akin to old school turn-based RPGs where all of the enemies used to have some sort of weakness, whether it was magic damage or maybe it was fire magic damage or maybe it was, blunt weapons or something like that. They have this in games. This is not new for board games, and it's certainly not new for video games. But when it comes to board games, it's either written down and you always know what their weakness is, or you're going to have to reference something somewhere and you're going to forget about it this time. But the fact that this is hidden away until it happens, and then it's there, and then on top of it, the app does the calculations for you. Say it has a weakness to blunt weapons and it takes 50% more damage. It's going to do the math for you. And boom, yes, you're still rolling dice. Yes, you're still flipping cards and deciding which weapon to wield. But at the end of the day, that damage is so much more dynamic with the app. And the last thing I want to talk about is there's no screenshot of it because I'm just assuming this is going to happen. But having the app, similar to what they have done with Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition and what they have done with Journeys in Middle-earth, is have downloadable content expansions where they're basically giving you a whole new storyline, which feels like it gives you a reason to jump back into the game without the big box expansion price tag. Usually it's like $5 or $6, which is what you spend on a lot of apps anyways, on your phone or a cup of coffee or something like that. But it gives you a whole new storyline. It gives you a reason to jump back into the game. I guarantee you they're going to come out with big box expansions with more miniatures, more terrain, more tiles, more tokens, more cards, all that stuff. But I also appreciate the fact that what they've been doing with Journeys in Middle-earth is between every big box expansion, they are releasing a downloadable content story to keep you involved in the game. And last but not least, while we're on the subject of the app, I hear a lot of people complaining about, since it's an app, I'm not going to be able to play this game 20 years from now because eventually they're going to drop support for the app and blah, blah, blah. Yes, they're going to drop support for the app eventually. They are going to stop producing content for this game eventually. Nothing lasts forever. And honestly, I paid a hefty price tag for this to have it pre-ordered and have it hopefully delivered on my doorstep sometime either Friday or a few days afterwards. But do I expect to still be playing this game 20 years from now? No. Come on. I mean, honestly, there's a handful of people who are still trying to play StarCraft from the early 90s, and when they finally shut down the servers 30 years later, they got upset. But really, guys, there was nothing better to play than the original StarCraft for however many. It may not even be StarCraft. I just remember there being a big deal about somebody shutting some servers down. So, come on. All right. So let's talk about another thing that I've heard people complaining about, and that is this cardboard terrain. Whether it's, it's just a big giant cavernous box and you dump all the terrain. Yes, I get that. That's annoying, but I love coming up with storage solutions, and it can be figured out, and I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to post it on my channel, so don't worry. Oh, I had to spend hours building it beforehand. Well, I know plenty of people who spend hours sleeving every single card of a game before they even play the game. I personally take the time to organize every game and figure out how I'm going to store it back in the box before I play it. Does that take away time from immediately jumping into the game? Yes, but that's how I prefer to, go through the process of getting a new game and opening it up. And personally, I see this terrain and I think Legos. I think building things with my kids. I think putting toys together. I think of, Christmas morning with my boys, and they've got all these new toys out, and I'm putting stuff together and putting stickers on things. And for me, that's enjoyable. Is it for everybody? No. Do you have to use the 3D terrain? Honestly, you don't, because it's going to be there in the app, and you just point to it, you interact with it in the app. This is just fluff. You don't have to use the fluff, but I think it's a nice addition. Yes, is it driving up the price tag? Yes. Is the price tag worth it because it's cardboard? Not necessarily, but we all know you're paying for more than the cardboard scenery here. A lot of this money is going towards this app, which hopefully is going to be amazing. But I see this scenery and I'm very excited about it, and I think it's going to add a lot of really nice atmosphere to the game. I recently just paid a lot more than the price tag for this game on a particular game by Simon Games called Massive Darkness 2, where I purchased bridges and treasure chests and mirrors and statues, and I can't even remember what else is in those scenery packs. Or, there's scenery packs for Nemesis that I'm seeing on eBay now and on the secondhand market that are going for twice what they paid for, because people want that atmosphere. So really, if you don't want it, don't put it together. Just leave it in the box. But again, some people may be really turned off by that, and that's fine. Don't buy the game. I'm just giving you my opinion why I'm excited about the game. All right. So the last two things that I want to talk about are really kind of things that, yeah, I get it. I understand. And I'm not trying to talk anybody out of this. And let's just get to the obvious elephant in the room, and that is the price point here. $175 US dollar. That's the MSRP though. Did I personally pay $175 for my pre-order? No. I got it from, I'm not sponsored by anything, but I purchased mine from Cool Stuff Inc. It was $140, which appears to be the cheapest, but pretty standard price for what a lot of these online local game stores are selling it for. So already the price has come down from the MSRP. Now, there are some people, like Amazon still has it for $175. Why? I don't know. And there's some people I'm sure are ordering from Amazon, and they have their reasons. Some people are probably ordering it directly from Fantasy Flight, and they have their reasons. But just know that the price is already coming down, and if you wait a little bit longer, I guarantee you, around the holiday time, Black Friday and around Christmas, it's going to be even cheaper. Unless it's amazing, and maybe you'll wish you came and got it for $140. But is it worth $140? That really has got to be up to you. But it really kind of bugs me when I hear people say, oh, it's not worth $175. Well, I don't know a lot of people who've pre-ordered the game who have paid or are going to pay $175 for it. So yes, it is expensive, but yes, personally, I spend way more money on certain Kickstarters with the whole FOMO thing and everything else. This kind of feels like the scale of a Kickstarter, where you're kind of just getting the base game. So, whether it's expensive is all relative. And for some people who don't get involved in Kickstarters, then yes, anything over $100 seems like a huge chunk of change. But, I have spent way more money on Kickstarters recently, so $140 really doesn't seem that bad. I paid $130 for Gloomhaven, and I'm very happy with Gloomhaven. So hopefully this works it out. The last thing is, and this is probably the biggest of the naysayers thing that I have to agree with, and that is the art. This is just an example, and I personally don't think that Fantasy Flight did themselves any favors by putting this article up there, but they're basically talking about the art of Descent, and they go through and they show you what first edition, second edition, and now, let's be honest, this is third edition, looks like. Third edition, and this down here, it looks like it even more. This is from Rune Wars, so slightly different game, but still the Tyrnoth universe. But the artwork here reminds me of Banner Saga. It's that cell shading, Viking-ish look about them. Am I a fan? No. Am I so turned off that I'm not going to buy the game? Obviously not. I don't think it's awful. This elf person here, I don't know whether this is a male or a female, so I'm not going to comment either way, but this is easily one of the most butt ugly characters in a board game. I'm just going to say it. And I think a lot of people agree with me in that, but is it going to keep me from enjoying the game? No. At the end of the day, I don't care what this character looks like. This character reminds me of the big friendly giant with its ridiculously long arms and tall, lanky body. But, so for the artwork, I get it. And if the artwork was a certain direction, bad, one way or the other, for example, Tristan Hall came out with a game, Veil Wrath. I believe I'm pronouncing Veil Wraith or Veil Wrath, last year. That's just recently started being delivered to backers, and I love Gloom of Kilforth and Shadows of Kilforth, and I will probably be an instant backer for their next, the third of the trilogy, the Kilforth games. But the Veil Wrath artwork, just I'm not into that real dark black and white art style, very gloom and doom. It just wasn't for me. I like bright, colorful stuff. And so I am perfectly on board with people who are turned off by certain artwork and not being able to get into a game. And that's fine. I get it. I just wanted to talk about it because I've heard a lot of other people talk about it. For me, no. I would much prefer the second edition artwork just be carried over. Am I going to let it keep me from enjoying the game? No. So we will see how things go in the future. But for now, this is all just my opinions for Descent Legends of the Dark. And there's one thing I want to jump back to, and that is solo play. This game being a game for solo play, and I want to highlight something that I believe it was Tom Vassell pointed out in his where he will probably only ever be playing it solo. I'm trying to find a very specific screenshot here, and here it is, in one of their articles. This is where you're going into town, and you're making all these decisions about crafting your weapon and buying and selling goods and upgrading your characters. And this is a portion of the Descent Second Edition that I really appreciated, and it's a portion, a part of a lot of video games that I really appreciate, upgrading your characters, things like that, forging weapons, crafting, as long as it's not too tedious. But I can definitely see how this part of the game would be obnoxious if you were in a group and having to sit there and be like, okay, let's pass the iPad around, you craft your weapon now, you craft your weapon now, we're all just sitting around twiddling our thumbs. In Gloomhaven especially, we would go through, and especially on times where we would, my brother-in-law and I, we always seemed to level up pretty much around the same time. We were all pretty much in sync with each other, and we would always, spend the time where, we've gone back to town and we're going to spend some money. So we'd pass back and forth my folder of all the equipment cards and things like that, or we'd spend some time looking through the upgraded cards and figuring out what our character could do anew. But we were able to do that at the same time. This seems like there is going to be a lot of fun stuff to do in between the missions, in between the actual scenarios, but is going to be a lot of fun for just a single person. If I don't have to worry about passing my iPad around to anybody else, and I can just dive into here and really enjoy the crafting, weapon crafting process and the upgrading process and the market process, then that's fine. And that's I'm buying this game to play it mostly solo. If it turns out to be a really cool experience, then I'll share that with my friends. But maybe just to the point that I bring them in for a scenario or two. Who knows? Maybe we'll see. Maybe I can figure out how to streamline this really quickly, or maybe I'll just get to the point where I'll just hand it off to everybody else and be like, I've been here, done that. I've had this experience. You guys go ahead and fight over it. But I just wanted to cover that I hear a lot of the naysayers, and there are plenty of people out there who probably still play in groups a lot. But I personally, if you watch this channel, almost everything I show is solo. I show ways to play multiplayer games solo, and this is no different. I'm going to be playing this one solo, and the fact that it has an app to run the Overlord and it has all this extra intricate stuff that is not going to bother me when I'm by myself makes hopefully this going to be a really great game for the solo community. So with all that being said, I'm going to leave you there. Obviously, I've stated it, but I have this game on pre-order. I'm hoping that it arrives sometime this weekend. If not, maybe even sooner. That would be awesome. But hopefully sometime next week, we will be seeing an unboxing of this game. We will be seeing, an overview of the terrain once it's built and a storage solution, how to play videos, and a couple of the first scenarios on camera and everything else. So if there is something specific you would like to see about this game, please let me know in the comment section below. I'm sure I will find a way to make a video about it. And if you want to make sure you are involved or alerted when these videos hit YouTube, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that bell icon so you know when I put a Descent Legends of the Dark video on YouTube. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great night.